18th and 19th century America, marriages were ordinarily arranged. Certain romantic love was one of the reasons for marriage, but only one. Even more prominent were social and financial motives. You had to marry into a family with which your family wanted a connection. You had to marry someone with whom you could afford a home and children.
Okay, so most of you guys know this. Okay, and you guys think this is the ancient way, and this is the Neanderthals doing all of these things. Okay, getting arranged marriage. But again, if you look at just humans as civilization, what we're doing, most of the people on human earth would have looked at us and say, what are you guys doing? Does that make sense? So again, this is what they did. But again, the important thing is what? Social and financial motives. But this changes.
By the late 19th century, the motive of marrying for love became more culturally dominant, and a system of calling courtship came into being. A man was invited to call on a young woman, and they spent their time together on her family's front porch or in the parlor. In short, the man was invited into the woman's home. There he saw her in the context of her family, and her family saw him. Interestingly, it was the young woman's privilege to initiate and invite young men to call.
Okay. So very, very interesting, huh? So I'm sure some of the guys would like that to continue on. Okay.
It was the woman who initiated.
Yeah.
Wait, to call after the parlor visit?
Like to be
to
like,
initiate,
yes, I
say,
will
would
allow
you
you
like-
to come visit.
Like,
you
would
like to
you
come
like
over?
to come to my family's picnic with us?
Yeah.
That's kind of
Whatever.
Oh.
All right, let's continue on.
Somewhere after the turn of the century, modern dating developed. Now the young man did not so much come in, but instead took the woman out to places of entertainment to get to know her. As dating spread throughout society, it not only individualized the whole process, removing the couple from family context, but it also changed the focus of romance from friendship and character assessment to spending money and having fun.
Okay, so do you guys see how it totally changed, right? Before it was really about creating a community, and then after that it became about friendship and character assessment and family still, and now it's more about spending money and having fun. Continuing on. Sonia?
The last social change is more recent. Not long after the turn of the 21st century, the hookup culture emerged. New York Times Magazine article reported how teenagers found members of the opposite sex to be annoying and difficult, and dating involved in the hard work of give and take communication and learning to deal with someone who's different.
Whoa.
It just takes a lot of work, okay, dealing with people. So why not just take all of that apart, just get rid of the hard part and just have fun. Again, already, the whole thing was spending money and having fun anyways. It's about my enjoyment anyways. So why not just skip to the fun part? Why do the difficult, like get in a relationship and make it complicated? Just have fun, no attachments, and that's it. Continuing on.
To avoid all this, a new form of meeting partners was developed, one that went straight to sex. A hookup is a simple sexual encounter without the condition of conducting a sexual relationship. After a hookup, you may want to start dating a relationship or maybe not, but that is no condition for a hookup.
Okay. So again, we could see how it came from community all the way to it's all about me, 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 me. So therefore, marriage, like being in a committed relationship, that's not as important anymore. As long as I enjoy the process itself, that's all that matters. Okay. Continuing on.
In response, many traditional religious communities are springing up in which there are
You could go closer.
efforts to return to more family and community involvement in seeking marriage. However, I believe that by and large these movements are beset with many problems. They assume very stable communities where everyone has known everyone else for a long time. We're living in a mobile world with social of family networks are fading in their influence. But can we apply some older approaches? Can we move the focus away from money and sex back to character, personal fulfillment, to building community?
Okay, so this is the author's assessment. He's basically saying, well, obviously, right now it's not working because it's basically breaking down marriage. Because there's a lot of people actually don't feel like there's a need for marriage, but most of us we're still within a very conservative circle, and that's why, I mean, still for us, a lot of us, marriage is still important. But again, if you go to big cities, if you're not really a Christian, I mean, everything he's saying, this is very common. Okay, so. Basically, for us as Christians, we can't really go back to how it was because, again, there's two things he said. Number one is the community is not as strong anymore, right? Because everybody's moving around, it's a lot more mobile now. Okay, people are not really sticking around. And last time, I think Joe even said people don't have time. They're too busy. Okay, because of that, we can't just say, hey, let's just go back to the old times and that was the good times. We can't do that. So what are some of the guidelines? And this is the author, Tim Keller. He's giving some of the guidelines. By the way, a lot of these are not really new if you were here for the whole series. It's a lot of same things. So let's go into it.
Here are some practical guidelines for doing so. 1. Recognize that there are seasons for not seeking marriage. A. Anyone who always needs to have somebody is probably into marriage and idolatry.
That's pretty important. Okay. B.
B. When you are going through a significant transition, it might not be a good time to begin a relationship. After some emotionally charged times in your life, you might want to deliberately avoid seeking marriage. In such situations, your judgment may be cloudy. During times of healing or regrouping, you probably need deep Christian friendship more than dates and ideas of marriage.
Okay, so again, it's this idea that, hey, it's okay to not always date. Okay, there's going to be seasons where there might be difficult times, or you might realize, oh, I'm actually over dating. Maybe I'm obsessed. Maybe I have some idolatry issues. And that's why there's a book that we studied, I think it's almost a year now, but what's really encourages 1 year break. Okay, like Jeremy and Nicole are doing it right now. So the idea is, okay, see what kind of idolatries that you might have, some of the habits or addictions that you might have. Because if you have a better you, then you're probably going to go into your next relationship much healthier as well. All right, going to the second one.
Understand the gift of singleness. Paul calls singleness a gift in 1 Corinthians 7:7. Many have thought that Paul is talking about is a complete lack of interest in or desire for marriage. No wonder so many joke and say, I don't think I have that gift. It is important to discern Paul's meaning here, or we may be too quick to think that any lack of romantic desire is a gift from God. Paul always uses the word gift to mean an ability God gives to build others up. The giftness of being single for Paul lay in the freedom it gives him to concentrate on ministry in ways that a married man or woman could not.
Okay, does that make sense? Did you guys ever say that joke before? I don't have this gift. Probably thought about it? Okay. Yeah. So the concept is a lot of people joke around saying, oh, I don't have that gift, right? I guess some people just have that gift of being alone and being okay with that, but I don't have that gift. I always have to be always with people. But again, that's not what it's saying. That's not what it's saying here, right? Because again, the context is this gift is given to you so that you can build up. Okay? So what can we do? Consider then that single calling Paul speaks of is neither a condition without any struggle, nor on the other hand, an experience of misery. Okay? So don't think that it's just like if God gives you this gift, all of a sudden, ta-da, like, I see a wonderful man and I feel no desire. Wow, thank you, God, for this no desire gift. Okay? It's not that. But it's a fruitfulness in life and ministry through the single state. So again, I think best example of this is, again, the 1 year break. They're like saying for 1 year, I'm going to use my singleness to learn from God. Okay, they're being very, very deliberate. when you have this gift, there may indeed be struggles, but the main thing is that God is helping you to grow spiritually and be fruitful in the lives of others despite them. That means a single gift is not just for a selected few, and it is not necessarily lifelong, though it could be. It may be a grace given for an infinite period of time. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Don't marry an unbeliever. Do not allow yourself deep emotional involvement with a non-believing person. This is a controversial point to make, but the Bible everywhere assumes that Christians should marry other Christians. Many think it is very narrow-minded indeed to discourage Christians from marrying outside of their faith, but there are strong reasons for this biblical rule. If your partner doesn't share your Christian faith, then he or she doesn't truly understand it as you do from the inside.
Okay, this is very important. This is not saying this is not saying two things. Number one, some people take it the bad way by thinking that, oh, if you marry Christians, therefore, like your marriage is going to work out. Okay, so this is not what it's saying at all. Okay, marriage is hard regardless who you marry. Okay, second thing is some people take it badly and say, oh, are you saying that non-Christians are worse than Christians? Once again, that's not what he's saying either. Okay, so we have to understand that's not what he's saying. But it's basically saying the most important thing in your life, you're not able to share with your spouse if you marry a non-believer. That's essentially what he's saying. All right. He's going to give two other examples. It's very similar, but go ahead, Stephanie.
If you do marry someone who does not share your faith, then there are only two ways to proceed. One is that you will more and more have to lose your transparency in the normal, healthy Christian life. You relate Christ and the gospel to everything. You will think of Christ when watching a movie. You will base decisions on Christian principles. You will think about what you read in the Bible that day. But if you are natural and transparent about all of these thoughts, your partner will find it at least tedious or annoying and even offensive. Therefore, you will just have to hide it all.
Right. Okay, so imagine just making choices. Okay. And the things that you think about, again, you cannot share everything. So therefore, you know that some of these things can be a very sensitive thing. And so again, you stop sharing. But again, you stop sharing what's most important thing. I mean, unless Christianity is not that important, then it doesn't really matter. But this is speaking to Christians. Next.
The other worst possibility is that you move Christ out of a central place in your consciousness. You will have to deliberately not think out how your Christian commitment relates to every area of your life. You will denote Christ in your mind and heart, because if you keep him central, you will feel isolated from your spouse. Both of these possible outcomes are, of course, terrible. That is why you should not deliberately marry someone who does not share your Christian faith.
Right. So basically the idea is God stops being important for you. You become influenced. And actually, the Bible doesn't talk about the first reasoning that Tim Keller is talking about, but the Bible talks a lot about the second reasoning. And that's exactly why when he told the Israelites, don't marry people who are not Jews. Not because, again, they were like, you guys are holier than them, but because if you start marrying them, you're going to start worshiping their God. And you're going to forget about me. And that's I think that's a really big issue. And of course, this does not mean that there hasn't been couples or there hasn't been marriages where it actually works out, where somebody marries an unbeliever and actually that person becomes a believer too. That's great. But again, to use that as your form of evangelism, again, it's very dangerous for you to do that. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Is that me?
No, it's Joseph.
Oh,
Feel attraction in the most comprehensive sense. One of the more misunderstood passages in Paul's writing about marriage is 1 Corinthians 7:9, where he says that you should get married rather than burn with passion. Many have seen this as a negative view. Paul seems to be saying, if you really have to get married because you are too undisciplined to control your urges, go ahead and get married. Paul was not really being negative at all. He was saying that if you find yourself having passionate attraction to someone, by all means, you should marry that person.
Yeah. So let me go a little bit in depth. He's actually going against the Stoics. The Stoics basically is this idea that emotions don't matter. And so there were people within the Christian church that were buying into this idea of Stoicism. Right? They were saying, "Oh, but it's I have to be disciplined. I have to ignore my emotions. Even if I have, these feelings, I can't, because feelings are not that important." And Paul's basically saying, "Hey, if you like her, if you have emotions, that's great. Then get married." Okay?
But let us go a step further for what we have been saying throughout this book about the mission of marriage. Let me call it comprehensive attraction. What is that? Is being attracted to the person's character or spiritual fruit. Galatians 5.
Many people choose their marriage partner on the basis of looks and money, rather than on character, mission, future self, and mythos. Mythos is kind of like something. It's coined by C.S. Lewis, I believe. But basically, it's this idea that you have like common shared like interest that you have. Okay, and obviously, as Christians, that should be God, and that's what connects you. It's kind of like this. I could be friends with somebody for a long time, but let's say I meet somebody like new, but let's say we both like the same car or the same TV show or something. Immediately we connect very easily, and that's what this idea of mythos is. Anyways, that they often find themselves married to a person that they don't really respect that much because they end up marrying because of looks or money. They realize, oh, character matters in a relationship. Okay? Oh, our mission matters in relationship. Okay?
Is it? Are you reading from the slide? We don't see it.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay, so that's what it's talking about with comprehensive. So it's not, on the one hand, it's not saying you should not feel if just marry somebody without any physical attraction. That's not what it's saying. Okay? Nor is it saying just marry based on only looks or money. Okay? So rather, especially Tim Keller, he's all about making sure that you see a potential of friendship. That's a really, really big thing. Okay? If you can't even be friends with that person, okay, in a Christian sense, not like friendship. What's the word? Friend zone. Not like, I'm not talking about friend zone. I'm talking about friendship as in like transparency. Are you able to be honest with each other? And then constancy. Are you able to be with, like, are they able to be with you even through the hard and difficult times of your life? Things like that. Okay? That Proverbs talks about a lot. All right, continuing on.
Don't let things get too passionate too quickly. One of the great advantages of the old calling approach was that the man and woman got to see each other in more natural ways. Family life, church life, and community life. The evaluation of character and comprehensive attraction had time to develop. Modern dating and hookups get sexual quickly, and when that happens, a romantic obsession can arise immediately. That sort of experience tends to preclude a realistic assessment of who the person really is. The kind of love that lasts a lifetime is not only a matter of the emotions. Put friendship development before romantic development.
Okay. So again, so the idea is get to know the person. Get to really, really know the person. Okay, don't just say, wow, she's really attractive, or he's really attractive, or he has a lot of money, and then just get into a marriage. But instead, really take time and get to know somebody. That's basically, essentially what it's saying. All right, take it slow. And then obviously, if you take it physical, if physically you get very quick, then what usually happens, especially for girls, is, I mean, on both sides, you become very clouded overall. You lose objectivity right away. Okay, for girls, it's a lot of attachment issues. Okay, so for some girls, they're like, yeah, I should have broke up with him, but I had sex with him, so I'm attached now. I'm emotionally way too attached. And then for the guys, for some of you, or not you necessarily, for the guys, they can say things like, I don't really like her, but I really like the sex. So you hold on to somebody longer than you would, just for the enjoyment. So basically you use her. Okay? So again, don't let things get too passionate. Of course, again, emotions are important, but again, emotions are not everything. Let's get to the next part.
get and submit to lots of community input. Marriage should not be a strictly individual decision. It is too important and our personal perspective is too easily skewed. The community has many married people in it who have much wisdom for single people to hear. Singles should get community input at every step of the way when seeking marriage.
Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? Right? Personal perspective, too easily skewed. So I hope that before you decide to get married or you're very serious about a girl or a guy, that you're able to get community perspective, especially your friends. Okay, but not only your friends, but even from your family as well. I know I sound like really old man saying all of these things, but I think it's really easy to not see it, right? I mean, all of us have seen friends where you're just like, why is she with that guy? Or why is he with her? But again, it's because you don't see it. When you're in it, you don't see it. And all of us have been there. We have made decisions, not just like relationally, but financially. We have made decisions where our friends will look at some of the things we do and they're like, why would you do that? Okay. So again, even especially within Christianity, divorce is a big no. Okay. So that means you got to take marriage very serious. Okay? Because divorce is no bueno. It really hurts a lot of people. All right, continuing on. Oh, by the way, I do think you do have to be careful about community, even Christian community too, because I do think there are really nice Christian people, but they still don't have the best advice as well. Okay, so you do have to remember, just because you hear a Christian couple say something, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best advice. So you should try to get a lot of different perspectives. But overall, I think your philosophy should always be, okay, what does people outside of me actually think about her or him? Because I'm just going to see whatever I want to see in the end. Next.
The Christian community has a deep investment in you and a deep interest in healthy and happy marriages. Christian marriage should be communal. That is, married Christians should look for ways to share their marriages with singles and other married couples in their community. Christians are directed to invite one another into their homes. 1 Peter 4:9. That doesn't simply mean into their houses. We are called to be transparent before one another.
Yeah, and this is not easy, right? Like, for example, if me and like Grace had issues, we don't want to just show it to you, all of you guys, right? And yet we need to, because we don't want to just show you the good side. We need to also show you there's difficulties and there's trials. So it's helping you to see the reality of marriage as well. Okay.
Think of what an impact that would have. Singles must, or think of what impact that would have. Singles must see how hard singles must see how hard and how glorious marriage is, not just how satisfying it is. The only way that happens is if married couples share their lives with singles so they can understand what marriage is really like.
Yeah, why don't all the married couples, they disappear?
What?
The wives, they take away the men.
Because they want.
Christian-
Hey,
No.
Josh.
Christina Dumas love, they hung out this morning.
Oh.
So again, if you guys don't have anybody within your church or community that you can actually do this, then I hope that when you get married that you could become that.
Well, to Joseph's point, like I feel like married people generally like to hang out with other married people, so that's why it's kind of like hard for single people to see that.
Yeah. So I do think you need to be proactive and ask them, and actually spend time with them.
It kind of makes sense that married couples would hang out with other married couples if they're trying to be respectful of their husbands and wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just heard that from like some of my married friends, which like if you're hanging out with a lot of like single young adults and like you're married, I don't know. I think for some people that might not be
Raise questions.
Well, I'm picturing them together. The married couples hang out with the singles together.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be no. Yeah, it's not married person by himself.
No.
with,
I'm not saying like by themselves. I'm just saying like if there's one or two married couples at like a young adult event, and everyone's saying, some people might disagree. I just know that personally, some of my friends have told me that they've transitioned. I mean, they're still friends with me, but like they've just transitioned more to like those deeper friendships with other married couples.
Yeah, I don't think that should. I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
fine, but I do think they need to spend time with everybody within a Christian community.
Yeah, that's true. I understand why they would want to spend all of their time with single people, but that's just
Yeah, so it's not. We're not. This is not saying that all married people should only hang out with single people, or, but it should be there. The couple should. It's a community, so it's a whole family. So we need to spend time with each other. Yeah, Joe, you were gonna say something.
Do you and Grace have like a double date partners? Like you have a couple that you're able to.
No.
No?
Oh, we could, but I mean, again, that's not a big issue for us. But we do, at least for us, we spend. But that's also because I'm a pastor, so I hang out with a lot of. At least our church members, they get to see what I think marriage dynamic at least somewhat looks like. Yeah. But that's also because I'm a pastor too. All right. Any questions about any of these things we talked about? So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the things we did talk about. Any questions? Any clarifications?
listen to the song Seasons